And we're live. Welcome in to Friday Night Lights on air, brought to you by students of the game. Without the music, I'm going to have to say this a lot less dramatically, but class begins now. I'm your host, Gentry and Jett, joined here by the man in charge, Jett Wilson. If you're watching on YouTube, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can also listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Students of the Game TN is the Instagram handle at gmail.com. Tack that onto the end of that handle, and you can email us questions at any point in time. Jett, how are you feeling? I'm currently in East Tennessee. You can see the beautiful backdrop behind me. You can probably see the foam coming off of my breath. It's 39 degrees out here, but on this glorious Saturday morning. But we're here for the boys. They warm me up more than anything talking about the boys. How are you feeling over there, pal?
Dude, I'm just happy to be here with you. Look at you can see your breath, dude. Look, that's some dedication to the pod right there.
Hey, it's all right,
Love to see
though.
that from my co-host.
It's all right. We're out here in my wife's grandparents house. I've got a little UT mug of coffee. That was the only. They said we'll only give you coffee if you use the UT mug. I said I'm happy to do it. I'm gonna need it out there in the 39 degrees. But Jett, we're gonna here to break down the Franklin Ravenwood game last night in Ravenwood. Final score ended up being Ravenwood 28 at Franklin 7. That sounds like it sounds like a three-score game, and Ravenwood played well, but that
Yeah.
score doesn't really indicate how close the game actually was. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, it was a one possession game the entire time until late in the fourth quarter. Before we get into the game, though,
Yeah.
I wanted to say something because I'm getting a little fed up here in the stands.
Okay, talk to me.
When our guys walk out on the field for the first time
Mm-hmm.
before the game, and it's crickets in the Franklin stands, it is a
Mm-hmm.
problem. And I know
Right.
just from a player's perspective, you work all off season, all
Mm-hmm.
winter, you're in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
all spring, you're on the field, in the gym, all summer. You give so much blood, sweat, tears to this game, and it all comes down to the 10 games that you get on a Friday night.
That's right.
And to go out there, you feel the love from the
Mm.
stands. And it's really like that's our time to
Yep.
show love to them. Like you guys did all this. We're here to watch you. We're
That's
proud of
right.
you, and
That's
we're gonna
right.
cheer you on. And
I love
they
that.
being really on the field, you can feel that energy and feel that love. And I think that it's a bad thing that we're doing to these boys right now. It's keeping them away from that feeling. So I just want us all, the Franklin family, to get together and do a better job of supporting the boys, getting loud for the boys, and showing love for the boys.
Hey, I completely agree. I love that. That fired me up right there. You just made me want to run through a wall for the boys. It's interesting about the best thing about why it's the best sport in the world is because it's really the only one where you practice practically 9, 10, 11, 12 months out of the year. Practice 365 days for 10 guaranteed contests. There are 10 regular
Yep.
season games. You're practicing for 365 days for 10 games. And so that's why each game is so important is because of the magnitude of the result of each game. It truly affects. Each game matters, right? This isn't the NBA where
Hmm.
there's 82 games or baseball where there's I think like 1,500 games a season, okay?
Yeah,
Or the MLB. I mean, every game has impact, and so I love that. The more we can show support for the boys, they can truly feel the energy, and they feed off of that. Momentum's a real thing, right, Jed?
yeah,
And the fans are a part of that. There's a reason they call it the 12th man, right? If the
yeah,
fans didn't affect it, that wouldn't even be a thing. So I love that. Anything we can do to get the fire the boys up. I think my takeaway after watching the game on the TV copy was talent wise, because we did talk about Ravenwood's got a talented team. Talent wise, though, Franklin can compete with anybody. I mean,
yeah,
I
for
don't care
sure.
what your record is. I don't care how many stars you got. Franklin's team can compete with anybody. The Ravenwood made plays, but Franklin made plays. Franklin
Yep,
actually forced Ravenwood into making bad plays, right? Ravenwood had
yep,
some penalties, but also Franklin had some penalties, and Franklin had some problems as well. But I mean, honestly, when I'm watching this game, I'm like, it's back and forth this whole game. Like
for sure.
Franklin did have opportunities. It's not like Ravenwood just came in and rolled over them. I mean, they they punched them in the mouth. They were physical. Defense kind of held up. So I just kind of want to acknowledge that in the beginning. That from a talent standpoint, I believe in these boys. I was proud of the way the boys fought, and I believe they can compete with anybody. Jett, what say you?
I love everything you said. I'm telling you on everything. I think the big story from this game, the
Mm-hmm.
big headline is missed
Yep.
opportunities. I think that
Yes. Well
we had
said.
a lot of times where we got the ball down into scoring position or
Mm-hmm.
defense got us a turnover and we had an opportunity to take the lead or tie the game. Um, and we missed opportunity. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
penalties obviously were a huge part. And both it was kind of a sloppy game. Both teams had a
Yep.
lot of penalties.
Yep.
Uh, we didn't have any turnovers. We beat them in a turnover battle. That's always a great sign.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's almost like when Ravenwood would mess up, and
Yeah.
we'd be like, okay, this is our chance. We would mess up. We would follow suit. So
I
it's
know.
kind of
My
like we gave them opportunities, they gave us opportunities, and it ended up tilting their way.
And Jed, that's something we talked about in the preview game. Like when you're going up against a good team and they do give you those opportunities, you got to capitalize on them and then reduce the opportunities you give them. That's something that we talked about, and it really came into play
Yeah,
last night. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Ravenwood scores first. They strike first. We get the ball. We go three and out, or had a drive stall. We threw a quick screen, the incomplete. Then jet sweep. And then I think another pass play that ended up might have been in a sack. And so everyone got
yeah,
pressure. We punt the ball off, and then they drive down and score. And something that we talked about is their quarterbacks likes to scramble, and they did that this game. And so their quarterback
yeah,
ends up we force him. Dr. Defense and the boys force him into a third and long, but their quarterback scrambles out left and kind of looks like he's just kind of jog out of bounds. And so our defense kind of comes up to kind of make the tackle and frees up a wide receiver, and he just kind of shot puts it, flips it out there. Great play by him. He sees it. He keeps his eyes downfield as he's kind of falling out of bounds. Wide open wide receiver who makes a good cut across the field where there's a lot of open space because the defense had come up to make a play on the quarterback, and they score on a big play first. We go down 7-0. Jed, that was one of those where it's like Ravenwood's a talented play. That's a good play by them. I wasn't really upset at our defense for that.
yeah. It's kind of a fluky play, but
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
goes back to right what we were saying during the week. We need to make these quarterbacks stay in the pocket because when they get
Yeah.
outside the pocket is
They
when
make
they
plays.
can make plays on us, and that's what they did in their first drive.
So then we go a little bit back and forth, okay? But then Franklin ends up responding to tie the game. They put a little bit of a drive together, and we line up trips right, I believe, close tight end to the left, okay? Back away. So we've got back and tight end to the left. We've got trips right, okay? And we had some success pretty much all game throwing that bubble to Luke Thompson. He was making plays. Great blocking by Lucas and Wills on the outside and Jack Flynn on those bubbles to allow him to make those plays. So it's a good play call here and good play design and then great execution by Brewer. I mean, his best throw of the night. He kind of leans just as a little, doesn't even do a full pump fake because of how successful that bubble was. Just kind of little shoulder shimmy to the bubble, and then Wills is on the outside and Lucas is the number two receiver. They do a little switch verts where Lucas ends up on the outside on almost like a wheel switch vert. Brewer drops it right in the bucket. Lucas burns his guy, scores a touchdown. We get in 7-7, and I was like, I love that. Look, here we
Yeah,
go. How you doing? Keep it
yeah,
moving. Let's keep that going. Jet, what were your thoughts? Was
yeah.
the crowd
That
going
that
nuts?
was that was really a great play. I think in that
Yeah.
situation, it's one of Brewer's best throws of the season
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
fourth down in a
Yeah.
big game like Ravenwood. Their crowd's getting loud, and you step up to the plate. I thought it was good going back and watching it. So Brewer threw that ball when Lucas was at the 25-yard line,
Yeah.
not even turned around, and
Yep.
it ends up landing in Lucas's bread basket at the
Yeah.
5-yard line. So that's just the chemistry these two have built up over the years.
I love it. I love it. I call it anticipation. I love the anticipation there. Ravenwood, good drive they put them. I believe the next drive they respond. They love to run the ball. That's what they did, both with their quarterback and their
Yeah,
running back. They got in that tight formation down near the red zone. They run an outside zone, handed off, and to that wing back, they ran a little bit of a reverse with the quarterback lead blocking. He ends up getting a score to go up 14-7. Again, a trick play, right? You know what I mean? Or it took a reverse, so kind of one of those things where like they're going to make those plays happen.
yeah.
Go up 14-7. But Jet, I mean, still back and forth. I'm still feeling good. That was just a good play by them. Pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
your same thoughts there.
I mean, at this point, the 7 points isn't going to be Ravenwood. They're going to put points on the
Exactly. Yeah,
board, so we're going to
exactly.
have to respond. And
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those. Okay, let's step up to the plate. Let's our turn.
Yeah, and Jet, this next drive is really where the theme, kind of the main theme you talked about of the missed opportunities comes into fruition. We have a great, like, almost an incredible kind of talent play where Brewer
Yeah,
scrambles out right, sees Sean Gaka running almost kind of at dig depth, right about 10 yards across the field, 15 yards. He throws it across his body as he's kind of fading away. Unbelievable throw. Sean goes up, tips the ball in the air. The safety behind him thinks he's getting an interception, but he tips the ball up in the air. And Sean, I don't even know how Sean has the awareness to make this catch after the ball is tipped twice. And he's got room to run. He's got real estate, ball in the hands plus grass. He makes a play up the sideline, right? And now we're all of a sudden we're 1st and 10 in the 19 on Ravenwood's 19 in the red zone. But Jed, then we get a 15-yard personal foul, and it goes from being after the big play 1st and 10 from the 19 to 2nd and 25 from the 36. Jet, thoughts here?
yeah, and that first off, a great play by the boys. That's just one of those things that it's not a schemed play.
So
It's
good,
it's
so
not
good.
really. You see Brewer starting to throw across his body over the middle, and everyone's kind of like, "Ooh!" But when you have 15 and you have five, Brewer
Yep,
and Gaka out there, good
yep,
things are going to happen. Good plays are going to happen. And that's one of
yep.
those plays where the ball just bounced our way, and Gaka made a great play finding it. Brewer made a good play trusting his guy. Because at the end of the day, you have to take those chances to beat a team like Ravenwood. You're
Absolutely,
not gonna.
yes.
You, we have to take chances with our guys, pushing the ball down the field and trusting your receivers to go make a play, and that's exactly what Gaka did.
I
But
love that. That's
going back,
yeah.
going to the red zone with the penalty, it's something that we're gonna have to fix because
Hmm.
scoring in the red zone is hard enough as it is,
So
and when
true.
you shoot yourself in the foot, and now you have 2nd and 25, 3rd and 25, which we had
Hmm.
multiple times in this game, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I think we
Yeah,
got a little bit confused after the Centennial game when we converted 4th and 10 and then 4th and 15 back to back.
yeah,
It's very hard to convert third and fourth and long, especially
yep.
against a team like Ravenwood. So a little bit why it was so hard for us to be successful passing the ball against Ravenwood like consistently, like we have been earlier in the season. The way that they played, so we talked a little bit in the pregame pod. They
Yep,
had always been aggressive, playing close to the line. They're trying to
yep,
stop the run.
yep.
They changed their game plan up for Franklin. They ran a
Okay.
completely different defense. They haven't ran the entire season. Just trying to stop our strengths. What are our
Yeah.
strengths
Their
in
their
this
their
year?
coaches get paid too. They watch film too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of our success this year has been on screens and been on
Mm-hmm.
deep balls, screens and
Mm-hmm.
shots. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Ravenwood's game plan defensively was stop the screens and stop the shots and make them run the
Mm-hmm.
ball on us. And
Yeah.
Ravenwood's really talented up front. So that was a struggle for us. They kind of took away the pass game. We ran a lot of trips. We have
Yeah.
three receivers. They would have four DBs, even five DBs
Yeah.
on those receivers helping to guard them. So they had two playing shallow and two playing deep, one playing inside. So they were
Mm-hmm.
really doing a great job of taking
Yeah.
away our bread and butter, taking away the screen, taking away the
Mm-hmm.
shots. And that means we have numbers in the run game,
Yeah.
but it was just we weren't able to get anything going up front against that front seven.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason. I mean that's why you make adjustments, right? They're going to make
Yeah.
adjustments. You got to make adjustments, kind of off their adjustments. That's what really where it gets into that chess match when you're going up against good teams. You're thinking steps ahead. You're making adjustments. You got to go on the fly based off of what they do. Usually, what I love about that is just for a quick educational standpoint. In a normal defense where there's four DBs, if you take a linebacker off, add another DB, making it five DBs, that's called nickel, and then if you were to add another one, that's called dime. And so usually defenses run either a nickel package or a dime package against good passing attacks, right? And that's something you talked about in the pregame. This is the first game where Ravenwood has gone up against a team like Franklin where they have a really good passing attack. So that's
Hmm.
probably why they waited until this game to kind of throw that package out, meaning that in all the other games when our coaches are watching film, they probably didn't see it. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. And there was most of the snaps that they had this season, the safety was about inside 12 yards,
Yes, yeah.
inside 10 yards. Against us, there was maybe one or two plays that
Yep.
we didn't have a safety deep. And so yeah, that props to them. They're taking away what we do best, and we had to respond and figure out a different way to beat them.
So obviously, when we get backed up, when we get backed up after the penalty, that that tough
Yeah.
spot, we get into a long fourth down. Brewer actually makes a great punt. We do a quick kick, okay,
Mm.
where Brewer is actually punting. We have our normal offense on the field, and Brewer punts the ball, and he pins it down. I would say not only in the 5, in the 2, maybe on that 1 yard line. Beautiful kick, but Jet, same thing with opportunities. What happens here?
See, we had no lineman go down trying to make a play, kick the
I
ball
get
through
it.
the end zone.
What you say, see ball, get
But
ball.
I'm not blaming this kid at all. At
No,
least
nope.
he shouldn't have been there. He
He
shouldn't
was
have been the
hustling.
first one to the
He
ball.
was hustling.
That
He
guy,
was
he
hustling.
was hustling. He was trying to get
Mm-hmm.
to that ball. He was playing with heart. And yes, it didn't work out for him. But what did they say? Mess up going 100%.
I
And
love that. Yes, that's right. That's
there
right.
was a bunch of other athletes on the field, not calling names up, that could have gotten to that ball.
Yeah.
It should have gotten to that ball before the offensive
Mm-hmm.
lineman did. So
Mm-hmm.
at least he was
Hey,
trying to make a play, going
yep.
100% for his
He
team.
wasn't he wasn't taking a play off. He was not taking a play off. You can
No.
see that. You can see that from how hard he was hustling. Defense holds. I mean, defense holds again. They kind of drive near. This is really close to the end of the half, right? The
Hmm.
defense holds. They try to almost like a Hail Mary type play. They defend it well. They stop them. They get to like a fourth down. So we get the ball and take it over, and we try to set up some sort of trick play. But again, this is kind of like your last play of the half, last ditch effort. You kind of do what you can. And then so we go into the half down 14-7. And again, defense has
Yeah.
really battled off of a couple, besides a couple kind of scramble plays and reverses. Defense has really held strong here. I thought they stopped the run pretty well, and they really bend didn't break. So even when Ravenwood would drive, we'd still kind of stall them out and hold them. Jed, what are your thoughts
Hmm.
there? Going down Ravenwood 14-7. I mean, that's Williamson County's best shot right there, and we're down one score into the half. What are your thoughts there?
I remember saying at halftime, in in one way, I feel like we should be up right now,
Yep.
or we should be
Yep.
winning.
Mm-hmm.
And in one way, I feel like we're lucky for it to be down by 7. So
That's a great
it was
point.
kind
Yeah.
of it was just a weird first half because
Uh huh.
we made mistakes and gave them opportunities, and they made mistakes and gave us opportunities. And
Yep.
both the times, sometimes we capitalized off those, sometimes they did, sometimes we did, and sometimes they didn't. It was kind of like all of our mess ups were kind of evening out in that first half.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the biggest takeaway during the first half was, hey guys, we're driving, we're getting the ball down where
Yep.
we need to be. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
stop shooting ourselves in the foot because we're getting close,
Exactly.
we're getting opportunities.
Yep.
So let's just figure out how to finish.
So, Jet, to your exact point, the quarterback to same thing. Defense holds. That Ravenwood gets the ball to start the second half, and we force a quarterback fumble. We recover, and boom! All of a sudden, we're in scoring opportunity. And the reason, before I get into Franklin's drive, what Franklin does with this opportunity, I want to explain a little bit on why this was so important, and give big props to Doctor Defense and really the players here. A big point, and from a coaching perspective, when you're trying to manage a game, you like to control what's called the middle eight. There's a lot of studies out there and analytics that whatever team wins the middle eight will end up winning the game. Okay. And
Yep.
so what that middle eight is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. Think about it. Ravenwood had an opportunity right before the half where they start driving, they get to midfield to score before the half and drive down and at least get some points, even if it's a field goal, and they get the ball to start the second half so they can double up right there, right? And so that's at least a 10 and 14-point swing when we stop them on their Hail Mary and then we force a fumble in that first half. I just want to give a quick props to the defense on holding in that middle eight when Ravenwood really had opportunities to capitalize on it. Okay, we get the ball on the 13, okay, of Ravenwood. Okay, we run Wildcat once, Wildcat twice, which I didn't hate the Wildcat call here. You know what I mean? We're trying to run the ball, get the ball in our best player's hands or one of our best players' hands, and then all of a sudden, same thing. I mean, it's almost like a little deja vu here. I look up and we were at the 1st and 10 for the 13, and now we're at a 3rd and 25. Jet, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's just not a winning philosophy. There's no way
Mm-hmm.
you can put yourself go from being at the 13-yard line to 3rd and 25,
Mm-hmm.
at the 20 something yard line. It's just not a way that you can win football games. And that's it's kind of like our mistakes happened at the worst possible
Yeah,
times.
well said. That's a great point. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
And so I believe we get stalled again here. Defense holds back and forth some more penalties. We end up kind of back in scoring position again. We get a goal line stand, I believe. So the
Yeah.
defense holds, and then we end up kind of going back and forth and driving down again. And we kind of get backed up, but we kind of get bailed out here by one of Ravenwood's mistakes, where we throw the ball to Jack Flynn, and the safety comes over and
Yeah.
hits him high. They get a personal foul. Boom. How you doing? Keep it moving. We think we get the ball. I mean, that's like Ravenwood messed up on their worst time. We're like, here you go. This is our opportunity to punch it in. Brewer makes a great play to get even closer down to the goal line, where he scrambles out left, avoids 2 sacks, kind of like the Ravenwood touchdown. As he's scrambling out left, Sean leaks down the field, and as he's kind of falling back, he kind of offhand flips it over to him. We get down there, but we get another personal foul, backs us up. Jett, again, the third or fourth time this has happened.
Yeah. It's I feel like a broken drum. Beating what do they say?
Right.
Beating a dead
Okay.
drum or
There's two
something?
separate. I
Am I
first of
getting
all,
in the
I like
middle of
your saying.
two
I like
cents?
beating a dead drum more than I like any other saying on the planet. Okay, I think you're thinking of you don't want to sound like a broken record, but you also don't want to beat a dead horse. Okay.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Dude, thanks for pulling me out of that one.
Yes,
So,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, we're at the 1 yard line, and then
Mm-hmm.
you look back up, and we're at the 15. It's
Yeah,
shocking. It's like we
yeah.
so many opportunities that we just pulled uh, away from us. But I feel like you skipped over the fourth down stop by defense a little bit too much.
All right,
Not
you go
showing like
back there.
love
You
to
go
the
back there because
defense.
it was a
Shout out
goal
to
line set
defense.
of stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
goal line stop against
Mm-hmm.
a top 10 team in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Huge respect to those boys. It
Mm-hmm.
shows how hard they've been working down in the trenches. They can compete with anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
said that before. I mean it.
Yep.
And I think that
Yep.
they believe that now. If they didn't, fans should believe it. We stood toe to toe with this Ravenwood team
A hundred
easily.
percent.
Offense did, defense did, toe to
Yep.
toe. We had so many opportunities to beat them. We just didn't go
Absolutely.
out and take it. We just needed to go take
Absolutely.
it. We didn't go take it. But yeah, shout out to defense. They played so good. We'll talk about it more later. But fourth
And
down goal line stand was huge.
huge play. Huge play. Huge play. So we're first three quarters, 14-7. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Yeah,
like that's just to emphasize your point of the defense. We
and
also had on. Yep. Go ahead.
no, go for it. Go for it.
I
Go
was
for
just
it.
going to say, I was going to briefly mention there was also, because we always talk about three phases, there was also some field goal opportunities that weren't capitalized on as well, where we had opportunities to cut it
Yeah,
to a 4-point game. You know what I mean? So I was just wanting to
yeah.
briefly mention
So
that because I know we always
I
talk
think that
about
was
those
that
all three
same
phases.
drive too. I
Yes,
think that was that
yes.
same drive we're talking about with Brewer
Personal
making
foul.
play
Yeah,
Gaka and
yeah.
then the personal foul.
Hmm.
And that was a really tough one. It's not on Rowan at all. We did not have the
No.
operation down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There
We're
was running.
running
We're
a
running
guy.
somebody
Yeah,
on
well,
late. We're running
be-
somebody on late. Yeah.
because the personal foul where the right tackle gets disqualified. And just
Hmm.
a little nugget on that. I'm not going to speculate too much on it
Yeah.
because I have not seen the film. Um, just talking to the boys, they say he's not that kind of guy. They
Yeah.
have his
Yeah.
back. They say that
Yeah.
they don't think he did anything intentional, and I trust the boys more than anything. They know their guys. So just a little nugget on that. But yeah, then the field goal happens, and we're running a guy out there. We're not set up. We're not even set up with 3 seconds left, and
Hmm.
it's a rushed operation.
Hmm.
Ends up squeaking. He might have rubbed against the left
Very
iron.
close. Very
It's very
close.
close. But we can't put our kicker in that kind of situation. And
It's tough.
we took a lot of timeouts this
Yeah.
game, which we'll touch on later too, before the
Right.
snap. And this was kind of one where it's like, man, that's 3 points. Like this isn't
Yeah. Yeah.
a third down conversion. Like this
Hmm.
is points on the scoreboard. And it was one of those where I would have liked to see. I think they were trying to stop the play. I think they were trying to take the 5 yard penalty and redo
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
But with all the timeouts that we had taken in the game, I would have liked to see a timeout called here just because it was such a big play. We're talking about points on the
Points.
scoreboard,
Hmm.
which could have helped us out later. But yeah, it's a tough
Any
call. Hindsight's always 20/20.
hindsight's always 20/20, but you're right. I mean, in any big game, every point counts, every yard counts. That's what it comes down to. And the momentum. I mean, a missed field goal also there's a mental aspect, not only points, but
Yeah.
your offenses work to get it down, and then it's a momentum thing. But to your point, very very close kick. I mean, surprised on how good the kick was based off of how the operation started. So props there. They end up driving the ball down. Okay, and I think there was also they get it right to the
Wait, I
goal
got
line. Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
got
yeah, I know.
something. I got
I feel
something
like I'm
because
missing something.
I was just no, my brain was just churning right there.
Yeah,
And
okay. I
so
love it.
this was our. You're talking about momentum. This was our third time getting in the red zone and coming away with 0 points.
Yes. Okay. Great
So
point. I'm glad you brought that up.
that's where that 14-7 score could
Yep.
be 28-14 like that.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
three
Yes.
times because in the first half we had a missed field goal off a penalty, and
Mm-hmm.
then penalties knocked us back in the second half too. And so that's our third time. Oh, it's not even counting the touchdown. The touchdown was from the 40-yard line. It wasn't
Yeah.
even in the red zone.
Great
Four
point.
times, three times we got in the red zone inside the 20 and came out with 0 points.
So they end up at the begin. I believe like the first play, of the third or the fourth quarter. They're on the goal line. They run wildcat. They punch it in. 21-7. Our drive stalls. I think there was like we were driving and they called. And Jett, I haven't heard this call in 15 years because I thought they threw it out of the rule book. But they called an accidental face mask, which is only a 5 yard penalty instead of a 15 yard penalty. And Jett, that was a rule in the NFL maybe 15 years ago. But they eventually threw it out and just there was like, hey, all face masks are 15 yards, whether accidental or not, because no one's really. I mean, I don't know who's out there purposely throwing
Yeah,
people around by their face masks.
yeah.
Technically, all face masks are accidental, and so I
Every
don't like.
single one.
Yeah,
Every single face mask is an accident. It was my mind was blown in the
yeah,
stands. I had never heard
yeah,
this call. I didn't know it was a thing. I saw him move the
yeah,
ball 5 yards and was like, "What's going
yeah.
on here?" And
I know.
accidental face mask. Where did they pull that from? Because I've
Yeah,
never seen that called. I've never heard of it. Every single face mask is that's accidental. I
yeah,
just don't get it. And going back and watching the TV copy, he grabs his face mask and pulls him down. Like it was a blatant face mask. It wasn't even like he grazed it or something. It was the most obvious face mask I've ever seen. And
and I
yes, it
don't know.
was an accident. Everyone is. Every
Dude, I
single
don't
one.
know. Well, if that when that rule was still in the playbook, I'm not sure you were even born yet. Okay, let's get that out of the way. And if we're going back, they might as well call a flag for just a. They might as back when the forward pass was outlawed. You know, when it was only
Yeah,
lateral. It was only
literally.
lateral. If we're gonna start calling things from the yesteryear and everything, then you might as well just
Yeah.
start throwing it. We might as well put those boys in leather helmets. I mean, what are we doing?
It was
And so
garbage.
they're up 21-7. We get stalled again, and it feels like all they Ravenwood gets the ball back up 2 scores. They start driving. We start getting worried, but again, bend don't break. We force another fumble to give us another shot with about a little over. I guess it was that 5 to 7 minute range in the fourth quarter. So still a 2 score game with two. We got multiple possessions left. But Jet, we get stalled out here, and I believe at this point when they were down 2 scores, their pass rushers were pinning their ears back. They were
Yeah.
sending some pressure because they knew we were in a passing situation. Is that what you saw as well?
That's exactly what I was going to hit on too. Once we got down by that 2 scores, we kind of stalled out after that last uh, red zone fluke. We
Mm-hmm.
never really got close again, and it's just the scheme thing. Like when
Yeah.
they know that we're going to pass the ball, they have the advantage on the pass rush, and with the numbers in the back end, it's
Yeah.
just really hard for us to do anything. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of open spaces. It's really hard to get a good play in that situation against a good Ravenwood team, and that's where you see we weren't down 14-0 the whole game. We were able to compete. We were able to drive the ball. We were able to get good plays.
Absolutely.
But once we get so one dimensional because of the scoreboard,
Hmm.
down 21-7, clock's ticking, is when Ravenwood, like you said, their pass rushers were really able to start teeing
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
getting some good
The
plays. They were
pocket was just
blitzing.
collapsing at
And,
times. There was not.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there was not a lot of grass out in the secondary because of the way that they were
Exactly.
playing their
Yes.
defense.
Exactly. And again, they're pinning their ears back. And anytime you're putting your offensive line, it's the offensive line's in a tough position because they know they're passing. We know we're passing. And I actually like some of the intermediate routes and everything we were trying to do at that point. But to your point, we just didn't have enough
Yeah,
time for Brewer to get them off. But I did like some of the things I saw there.
I did too.
Uh,
And I saw some plays we hadn't ran all season during this
hmm
time, and they
Yeah.
weren't exactly clicking,
Yeah.
but they were close.
Right,
So I'd like to see us
exactly.
continue to build on those
Exactly, and
plays.
if we in a situation where maybe it's a closer game, we were running the ball a little bit more, it might give them time for those intermediate routes to work and develop. So I
Yeah,
completely agree. Again, they get the ball, they punch it in 28-7. A lot of garbage kind of scores here, and then
yeah,
our drive kind of stalls here. So again, a lot closer than it seemed. They just got some two garbage touchdowns at the end. They played a good game though. They're a talented team, but again, my takeaway was that from a talent standpoint, Franklin could play with anybody. It was just a tough the way the opportunities win it with the penalties and everything. To final score 28-7. That's the game. Jett, any kind of final thoughts or themes to the game before we kind of move on? Because anytime after a loss like this, the mindset is, hey, we're on to Cincinnati. You know what I mean? To quote Bill
yeah.
Belichick, there, we're on to Mount Juliet. Like, let's focus on the next game. Learn from it. Watch film. Learn from it, and then we're on to the next one. Because again, a lot of season left to play, a lot of ball left to play, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to watch these boys really ball out. Jett, final thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think the boys did a lot of good things last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think they made a lot of mistakes, and I
Yeah.
think that they got to try to get to the film room, get to
Yeah, and
practice,
and
and
it
figure
wasn't
out how
just
to.
personal. Real quick. Sorry, before you
You got it. You
continue,
got it.
there wasn't just personal fouls. There were some delay of games and false starts and offside penalties. Quick, even just these 5 yard penalties that were killer sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, and that just ruins the rhythm, puts you behind the sticks, where
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to be successful against a team like
Mm-hmm.
Ravenwood. But yes, oh yeah, we just got to continue to build on the strengths,
Mm-hmm.
look back, figure out where we went wrong, how we can do better, and then flush it, get rid of it.
That's
We're
right.
on to Cincinnati, we're on to
We're
Mount
on to
Juliet.
Cincinnati.
Uh, couple talking points from the
Talk
game,
to me.
couple main themes we wanted to talk
Yeah,
about. First off, Thompson King got his appendix removed on Monday, suited up and played on Friday night,
and he balled out. He was
and
all
he
over he
balled
was all
out.
over the live stream. He was all over it.
He balled out. Super tough kid. I heard rumor mill allegedly he he didn't have a chance of hurting it worse, but it was going to be painful for him to play with it. So tough
Wow.
as nails, kid.
Absolutely.
Nothing else that I'd expect from Thompson King. He's been like
I
this
know
his whole life.
I was so excited there. My hands would have gone up if they weren't if I didn't have to keep them in the pockets here because it was 39 degrees. But that was me without that's me being I was very excited. I'm trying to I'll even bring him up for that. That's a big time. That's huge. I don't know many players that would be able to just fight through appendicitis
Yeah.
like that in playing on those Friday night lights. But hey, he's just a ball player. He loves ball. You can't take that out of him.
Uh, Second point, we had a lot of trouble getting the play in this
Yep.
game, and it's been something that's kind of plagued us all season. But
Hmm.
it kind of showed a little bit more against Ravenwood as against anybody, and it's a tough thing. I mean, it's I'm not saying it's easy to go in there and call plays, especially in a big game like
Yeah.
Ravenwood against a really good defense like Ravenwood, and they're running
Hmm.
something new they've never ran before.
Hmm.
Um, but it just kind of messes up our rhythm, and it's
Hmm.
really tough when the clock's ticking down and we're still telling people to play, Brew's telling
Hmm.
them the protection, and
Yep.
then where I really think, like obviously everyone knows everything I've been talking about up to this point, but
Yeah.
where I think from a football inside perspective, where this really affects us is being able to read their defense, because then
I couldn't agree more.
we kind of get to the point where it's like Madden, where you just snap it and you don't know what they're running. You just know what you're running, and you hope someone's open.
Uh-huh.
When you have more time, you have time to look around, see what they're running, what coverage are they
Yes.
in, how can we
Yes.
attack that, and you can be
Yes.
the aggressor instead of just playing almost defense while you're on offense. And
Yes. I love
so
it.
I think that also gives us time. Who's blitzing? Where
Yep.
are they bringing pressure? Because there's so
Yep.
many times where they
Mm-hmm.
bring pressure and it's an unblocked guy we didn't know was coming. If we had a little
Jet.
bit more time, I feel like
Yes.
we could maybe do a hard count, see who's blitzing, be able to check to that, be able to pick up the protection,
Yep.
and that's playing chess, like you said.
Yep.
It's chess, not
That's
checkers.
right. Jet's not checkers. I
You
love it, Jet. That's
the,
one of my favorite. I
so
completely agree. Yep. Go ahead.
no, go for it, go for it.
I was just going to say, to the common viewer, it can seem like a lot of the reads are made post snap, but in reality, a lot of them, and while they are made post snap, like a progression, there's a lot going on pre snap. So you need time to really adjust what's going on. In the NFL, you'll see this if you watch it on Sundays. They'll call the play call will be two different plays, one depending on like what the defense is. And so, to your point of a hard count, when you're watching, I don't know, let's say like Jared Goff or somebody, that's why you'll hear him say, wide 80, say hut, hut. and then ball won't snap, he'll send somebody in motion, he'll see the defense, and he'll just go easy, 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 and that's telling, hey,
Yeah.
hey, easy, easy, easy. I'm about to call the second play, and when you see somebody in and go like read, 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 or kill, 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 that means they're killing it or canning it to the second play and adjusting based off with the defense, and boom, now the play works because they're in a much better play. You know what I mean? And so really, that pre-snap read is huge if you have time to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think the obvious negative about this too is we're having to burn timeouts to
Yep.
save
Yep.
delay games, and that's just not something we're going to need those eventually. Playing in these
Yep.
in close games like this,
Mm-hmm.
into the first half, it would have been nice to have those timeouts. So yeah, everyone's got to get together and try to figure out a better way to go about this moving
Yeah.
forward.
But I trust these boys to get it figured out. I trust this staff to get it figured out.
I do too. I
They'll
do too.
be just fine. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I want to intervene right there. I
Yeah.
know, yes, Franklin's lost the last two games, Brentwood and Ravenwood.
Mhm.
Yes, it matters. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter. I still believe this is not the biggest game that this team will play this year.
Yeah.
But this is not the time to throw all the papers in the air and give up on this team.
Yes.
It's
Agreed.
not time to throw up the papers and give up on these coaches.
Agreed.
Because,
Agreed.
yes, we've lost the last two games, big games. Yes, there was questionable calls by coaches. Guess what? That happens in the NFL too.
That's life.
Nobody's
That happens in
perfect.
life
And
regularly. Yeah.
yes, this is a new coaching staff. And
Yep.
we as fans, and I'm not pointing fingers because I'm
Yeah.
guilty of it too. We as fans, how much we care about our boys and their success. It's so easy for us to point fingers. But this is not the time to do that. It takes a full team to come together to be special, be successful. Look at where we are this year compared to last year. Look at where we are this year compared to
That was
2
my
years
that was my
ago.
first thought. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so it's like, has there been questionable decisions? Yes. Is that going to ever stop? No, that's just football. That's coaching. It's a really hard thing to do. It's
Jennifer,
really hard.
it's so hard. If anything, this is the time to rally around these
Yes.
because this is who's going to be out there calling the plays and making the plays. So this is the time to rally them for the rest of the season and give that confidence so they can walk in knowing we as a Franklin faithful have their back. Great point.
Yes.
I love
Agreed.
it. I mean, they're to your point of the NFL. There are legendary coaches. Well, if you look at their first couple seasons, you know what I mean. I mean, a lot of legendary like Bill Belichick was fired. It was fired. You know what I mean? Nick
Yeah.
Saban was fired. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so and these are the greatest coaches on the planet. And so completely, it's your first, like you said, it's a first year like new staff. Like it's a hard position to be in. But again, I think we rally around for the rest of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
Give them the
And
confidence to hey, y'all got this. We got you. We got your back, and y'all go out there and ball out.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think all season we've seen the coaching staff and the players, the whole team as a whole, kind of progress and
Yeah.
fix some of their mistakes. We fixed some of
Yep.
the mistakes from the Centennial game, built
Yep.
on that for FRA and then Page. And
Yep.
I trust our guys and our coaches to continue to do that.
Yep.
I know that we have a coaching staff that is okay saying, "Hey, I messed up here.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Yep.
look at it and figure out how to get better." And I applaud
Yep.
them for that. It's not an easy thing to do.
I
But
completely understand.
like I said, to the Franklin faithful,
both coaches and the players. Yes, they feel the energy if they know when we have their back from
Yes.
from the stands.
for sure. But yeah,
I-
let's Franklin family, Franklin faithful, we gotta come together because we just had game 7, game 8.
Yep, game 8.
Yeah, game 8. Guys, this is the
Here,
home
this is
stretch
it.
here.
It's
It
time.
is
Here
not
we go.
time
Light in the
to
tunnel.
get divided and start. Like, this is when we need to come together. This is when we need to
Yes,
trust each
yes,
other.
exactly.
And yes, the coaches know that there's mistakes that are being made, and they're working on fixing that. Same with Ravenwood's coaches. Ravenwood's coaches
Yep,
made a bunch of
exactly.
mistakes, and this is high school
Exactly.
football. This is football in general. No one's going to be perfect, but we cannot just turn our heads on whoever the coaches is after a couple mistakes in game 8. Like, this is our time. We got to all get together. We're all on the same team here. We all want to win games. I promise you the coaches want to win games more than anybody besides players.
We don't need to break out into a musical, but we are all in this together. To your point, there's a lot of end of the season playoff implications coming down. Let's go to the lightning round to see how everything's affected. Jett, Williamson County games: Brentwood 20, Centennial 10, Fairview nothing, Independence 30. WCS game of the week for there.
Oh no,
Nolensville
that's Fairview L, dude. Sorry,
Yes,
producer
dude,
Chuck.
Fairview L. I know producer Chuck's not going to love that. Nolensville 37, James Lawson 7. I'm seeing Page 0 versus Hillsborough 0. Don't know what that means. I don't know if the game got delayed or something. Ravenwood, you know the score. Summit 48, Overton 7. Big game there. Father
Wow.
Ryan 8, Macaulay 41. And then yeah, here we go. So I mean, things are coming down to the wire. I cannot wait to be back in the studio with you. I don't like being back. I'm starting to miss you. You know what I mean? We're two back-to-back virtual. I like being back in the same studio with you. But hey, for these boys, I'll do a podcast on what feels like the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro anytime. I would do it again. Jett, can't wait to see you next week. Appreciate y'all listening. And yeah, Jett, I wish I was here to shake your hand, but thanks for listening in. Love you guys.
See you guys.